What's your greatest, most satisfying I fucking called it moment? Kept finding small cut-up straws in my grandma's bathroom. So many straws. I let my grandmother know that someone is using her bathroom to use drugs. She freaks out saying I'm accusing her of using drugs and that it's impossible. A year later my uncle divorces his wife due to her cocaine addiction. Grandma says well Kay always stopped by in the afternoon to use the restroom and then she would clean my whole house and I just didn't think anything of it. My favorite story at Thanksgiving. Kay can come do cocaine in my bathroom if she cleans my house afterwards. I'll even leave her pre-cut straws. Probably too late but I want to share this anyway. The last few months of my wife's pregnancy with my daughter, the little baby would regular as clockwork, around 10:30 p.m., put her feet against my wife's ribs and try to straighten her legs so she could headbutt her way out of my wife. Bam, headbutt to the inside of your, whatever. My wife would fucking jump up cursing like a sailor every time. It was painful, but also hilarious, reliable, and I guess we knew she'd be an active little kid well before she was born. Cut to the evening of her birth, the doctor is telling us around 9 p.m. that things are going well, but he's going to go get dinner because he has to eat and there's no way this kid is coming out before midnight. I look at my wife, look at the doc, and say don't go far, the kid is going to deliver herself around 10:30 p.m., I promise you. You're just going to have to catch her. He laughed, told us he's been doing this a long time, and he wasn't worried. 1025 He's rushing in and barely gets his gloves and scrubs on before my daughter shoots herself out of mommy like a greased bullet. Direct quote from the doctor looking at me as he holds my little darling, well, I guess even I can learn things still. I don't blame him at all, who would believe parents about something like that? But that kid had done so many test runs, on such a regular schedule, I knew there was no stopping her. And fair game, getting headbutted daily for a month or whatever as a trade-off to having a very short and easy labor? There are worse deals. When I met my mom's husband's adult kids. After a few minutes of hanging out with them I followed my mom into the kitchen. Me, 3 of his 4 kids are gay? Mom, no. Only one is. Me, number 3 are. 10 years later. One of his children is in a same-sex marriage and 2 of his kids are living with long-time same-sex partners. The first Avengers movie, my husband was wondering why the staff could stop the almighty Tesseract. I casually said, maybe, they're both Infinity Stones. He said, nah, the Tesseract is its own thing. Because he was more into the comics at the time, I shrugged it off. Since then, every McGuinn in the movies, down to Thor's Dark World, I jokingly said, Infinity Stone to troll him. You can imagine how pissed he's been since Guardians. Dude at work had been complaining about his crazy girlfriend and her problems. 2 weeks later he is talking about how she is pregnant. In my head I'm thinking, she is going to lose the baby because it isn't real. Sure enough, he comes in all sad about just over 2 more weeks later saying she had a miscarriage. Some time passed and he's complaining about her crazy antics again. Found out my now ex-husband was sleeping with a coworker. So naturally we divorce, but still have to keep in contact because we have a daughter. Well, her fiancé finds out and leaves her as well. Now she is a decade older than me and had mentioned that she and her ex-fiancé had been trying for a baby for a long time, but never conceived. He continued to see her and eventually she moved on with him. He didn't want any more kids. I told him to be careful because I suspected she was only with him to have a baby. Fast forward a year and she's pregnant. He comes to terms with it after being slightly upset. Fast forward a year after their baby was born and she breaks up with him. Shocker. I don't care if they are up 28-3. They are the Falcons. They'll blow it somehow. Probably not the only one, but I was watching Seven for the first time and my mom was eagerly watching me as I reacted to the movie. She lost her shit when I said, "Is that Kevin Spacey?" During the phone call scene. She couldn't believe I recognized his voice and figured out who it was before the big reveal. I'm obviously not the only one to have guessed, but it was satisfying watching her reaction. In high school, my best friend's little sister, 16 at the time, brought home her new 18-year-old BF from work to meet the family. I was over at the time and talked to him for a while because we were the same age. After meeting him, something was off. I got the impression that one, he was much older than claiming to, had been in jail. I wound up saying something to my friend, who told his parents and sister. Long story short, the family freaked out on me for spreading rumors that weren't true, telling me to mind my own business, etc. 2 years later, the sister comes home from a date with him in tears. He finally came out and admitted to her that one, he was 30, not the now 20 he was saying too. He had spent 2 years in prison, but refused to say for what. I was very quick to point out to the family how I called this years earlier and was basically shamed out of their house. That my sister is gay. Growing up, she'd developed what was very obviously, to me, a crush on different girls. In high school, I finally said, "Girl, have you considered that these feelings you have for so-and-so might be romantic?" She flipped the fuck out on me. We didn't talk for weeks. She'd date any guy that asked her out because she was supposed to like guys but never really felt anything for them. Finally, in college, she called me and went, "Yeah, so anyway, you're right. I'm totally gay." We joke that it took her so long not because she was in denial, she just didn't want me to be right.